Whitetail Addictions. The hunt is on. There's no going back now. It's in your blood. A primal need that must be met. It drives you. It consumes you. It takes you to the edge. What was once a simple pastime has now become your addiction. This season, come share the excitement with a group of fellow whitetail addicts from Lone Wolf. Learn from their time-tested techniques, as well as their mistakes, and be there to experience firsthand the highs and the lows we've all come to thrive on. They are do-it-yourselfers just like you. Their season begins the moment the last one ends. And when it comes time to release an arrow, they come up big. This is Lone Wolf's Whitetail Addictions. On this week's show, we're going to introduce you to whitetail addict Jarrod Erdody. Jarrod was born and raised in Michigan, where he cut his teeth on hunting and fishing. Jarrod works for Stryker, a medical device company, where he films and edits training videos for the medical field, and also specializes in graphic art and web design.
I was fortunate to always grow up in the country, and hunting and fishing were pretty much always out my back door. I remember the day my dad told me he was going to take me hunting for the first time, and no joke, I was 3.5 years old. I remember sitting in a ground blind back then, and it was, it got in my blood back then, and it's just only gotten worse as the years have gone by. My dad was everything when I was growing up. He was that influence that started me in the outdoors, hunting and fishing. He never had to give me any kind of a push for my passion. I was one that just grabbed it and went with it. Hunting is really that common bond with my brothers and my dad and I. Besides the weather, there isn't much we talk about. I've always loved art. I've always loved the outdoors and science and biology. And, my high school art teacher put me on a medical illustration back in high school. I knew it was a really good fit for me. I went to college and did that for a few years. Even then, I've still always done stuff on the side that revolve around hunting. Taxidermy, if it was springtime and I could work on deer heads or talk to people that got deer, that was it. That was that tie. Drawing deer, mounting deer, even bringing video cameras into the woods. That's been something I've done for a long time. Growing up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, there's such a deep tradition of deer hunting up there. Yet it's really a different mindset than the trophy hunting aspect that I've kind of taken on in the last several years. To get that thrill, to keep that excitement, to keep that pounding, of your heartbeat, you got to up your standards. And in many ways, it becomes a lot more difficult to fill your tags. Some people don't understand trophy hunting and why we just go after big bucks. But I like to be out there all year, and if I were just going to kill the first deer that went by, I'd be done opening day, and that'd be it. To fuel that passion, I gotta get other tags in other states. I just look for every free moment I can, especially in my busy life. I've got to provide for my family, and I work hard, no doubt. But every spare moment I can is revolves around that next buck.
Welcome back to Lone Wolf's Whitetail Addictions.
That ground in Buffalo County that I hunted this past year, it really came together for us well. I found it this past spring. We finally got on it on the summer, and it was pretty much a run and gun situation. We had to get to know it through aerials and topo maps, talk to the landowner, talk to my buddy that had hunted it before. And I got a pretty good feel for what was going on just from what he described. So it became a matter of spot checking it for the things that I would expect to see. In opening day, I had a real good situation with a southwest wind on a ridge up there that I knew was a buck bedding area. Warm weather, they're most likely going to be going to water before food, and that's what this buck did.
As daylight faded on the second day of season, Jarrod spots this nice buck working his way through the woods and heading right for his setup overlooking a small spring. The mature buck did exactly what Jarrod expected, heading for the water hole first thing in the warm weather. With the buck's attention focused on the water source, Jarrod is able to maneuver around to prepare for a shot. With the buck quartering towards him and almost directly beneath his stand, Jarrod's arrow placement had to be perfect. And it was.
It's a dead buck, dude. I buried it right down in there. You believe that? How about this for an early season Wisconsin buck? We've got some good mass. We've got all kinds of garbage in his beams. He's got forked brows right here. Forked brows here just starting. He did a little rubbing on his way in tonight, and I think this is the remnants. Real fresh. I gotta keep that in there. He's got some pretty good beams here.
What a great way to start off the bow season.
You'll notice the wound on this buck that I shot last night is pretty tight to its shoulder. In most cases, because of all the shoulder meat you went through and the hide, it's gonna seal off that hole in the chest cavity, even though you've got a great hit. We knew this buck didn't go far, but because it's early season here in Wisconsin, we've got a lot of thick cover, especially near the bedding area that we're hunting. What I did is climbed up in the tree stand, and I provided my buddies a direction to travel using my flashlight. It worked a lot better than wandering aimlessly on the ground and not sure if we're on the right path. There was no blood until we found the buck. We found it within a couple minutes. Something to keep in mind if you've got a partner helping you. Get up in that stand, use that direction to travel, and save yourself some time.
It was an enjoyable process, to tell you the truth. It was lit up a spark to get back into this and create some new innovations. So
it's really a cool experience to be able to dive in, work one-on-one with him in designing this new stand and climbing sticks.
process, to tell you the truth. It was lit up a spark to get back into this.
Welcome back to Lone Wolf's Whitetail Addictions.
My Illinois spot this year was another kind of tough situation. I came onto it late summer. It had been heavily hunted. There weren't a lot of mature deer around. What I did was basically staked out the perimeter with trail cameras and tried to get a feel for what was living on the property. I took 5-6 straight weekends down there. It was my sixth weekend hunting Illinois. November 11th when it finally happened.
It's midday right now. I just saw an awesome buck come through about 11:30. If he didn't have any broken tines, he'd be mid-160s, but he's still 13, 12-inch tines. Great looking deer. Really thick stuff down below me. That's 6 bucks I've seen so far. And one doe. The doe's bedded up to my north here, so these are looking pretty good. It's been pretty steady action so far. It's going to be an all-day sit, so it's cold today. We're going to see if we can stay put, stay warm, and hopefully something will happen.
And that afternoon, something did happen. This buck caught Jarrod off guard. And while filming himself, he didn't have time to adjust his camera to capture the shot.
Not gonna be as easy as I'd hope. He stood up there on that hill there for several minutes. He disappeared behind a clump of brush, and I'm not sure if he went down, laid down, or if he walked off. I'm looking at the arrow down below. It looks like it's probably guts, at least liver and guts. When he came through my lane, his front shoulder was back a ways, so when I put it on the crease, it was probably about the last rib. Not the ideal shot. 7 yards maybe, but nevertheless, he's not dead yet, I don't think. We're gonna give him a little while, and hopefully we have a happy ending.
After giving the buck plenty of time to expire, Jarrod took up the trail, and it didn't take long to recover his Illinois trophy.
Dead buck, man. Dead buck down.
All right, congratulations. You got him.
He's down. Man, Dan was I worried.
Look at him.
Look at that.
Look at him.
Not the biggest trophy, but certainly my most unique. He's got that extra stuff going on, and he looks like he's got all kinds of stuff. 3-year-old deer that just lots of character. Fun stuff. I was getting a lot more optimistic as we kept going because it was a steady blood trail. We went a few hundred yards, I'd say, but lights out. No coyotes yet either. That's good to see because we were hearing him yipping. It had me real concerned. But he's a good one. It's kind of like I figured. I thought I had about the right height, but I think his shoulder was a little bit back over his chest, and I hit a little bit farther back than I'd like to. But we'll take him. He's a freak.
Congratulations on another great buck, Jarrod.
You read articles all the time, play the wind, play the wind, play the wind, but for me it didn't really click till 5-6 years ago. You go back and analyze your hunts and figure out what happened there to make that hunt work. What was the wind doing? Where did that deer come from? Where was he likely bedded? And how did he use that wind that day? And how did it work to my advantage or to his disadvantage? And I started figuring out that it's not always that dead wrong wind for the deer or the perfect wind for you. It's got to be that wind that the deer feels safe to move in, yet you're still safe from them. You know, they don't always travel against the wind. You don't always have to be protected. Like the area they're coming from is straight, has to be straight upwind of you. It just became a matter of figuring out how they use that wind, how they're likely to use it based on where they're bedding and feeding.
Welcome back to Lone Wolf's Whitetail Addictions.
My Buffalo County hunt, it really happened fast when it came down to it. Didn't see anything for the first several hours other than a couple small bucks that filtered through. A 2-year-old buck came through just after light, and then a little 1.5-year-old buck came below the stand. But at 11 o'clock, I heard a couple deer running, and as fast as I could say to my brother, "Hey, here comes a good one," and grab my gun, he was standing there 40 yards below me in the logging trail.
Nice shooting, bud.
Does he look good?
He's behind the branches right there. I see a good rack though.
Thanks for being here, man. Did that ever happen fast?
Yeah, just like you said there. Those shots spooked him over here. Or not?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, they came.
He was good.
That was awfully fast, but he was great. Yeah, our gun hunt in Buffalo County was just one of those magical days that every hunter wishes for. You can be on the best property, and in 20 years, a day like that's not going to happen. You know, my buddy killed a 147-inch 8-point. I killed 152 10-point, and my buddy Dan killed a 203. Just a giant, truly giant deer.
Congratulations on 3 great bucks, Jarrod. What an incredible season. And what a way to wrap it up with some good friends and some monster whitetails.